We've done this every year. We started on the blog in 2011, I believe, doing our
Yeah.
season predictions the night before the season starts. So we are on a Wednesday night. We'll get these out. This probably won't come out before games start tomorrow, unless I really bust my ass tonight and tomorrow to get this done. But believe me, it is Wednesday night. We were predicting this before the game started. So
not that predicting 162 games should be affected by the first game of the season, everyone, but just so you know, it's 7:30 Central, 7:33 Central, 7:33, 8:33 East Coast time that we're doing this show on a Wednesday night.
So I think what we typically do is we just go East Coast, Central, and then West Coast. And then we'll talk about our League Championship Series predictions, World Series predictions, our AL or our AL Rookie of the Year, our MVPs, AL NL, all that shit. Maybe I'm getting tired for this.
Wait a minute. You all right? Wait.
Yeah.
Just let me get this down. Are we gonna
Why don't you repeat what we need to do?
Are we gonna I just want to know, are we doing all AL? Or are we going AL NL, AL NL, AL NL?
I think we should do AL NL, AL NL.
Okay, cool.
They'll be keep it
LOL, white America, assassinate my character. Sorry,
wow.
Doing a little Kanye there.
I had no idea. I was not prepared for that. Let us start with our division winner projections for the American League East.
All right.
This is where I'm going to go with a team that I've never picked to win a division. I think I've picked them to win a wild card the last couple of years, but I am going with the Toronto Blue Jays from north of the border to win the AL East, to prevail over the always pesky Rays, the Yankees, who I feel are in kind of in a weird limbo where they should be a team similar to the Cubs that should have found a way to plug their holes a little bit better, especially in their rotation through free agency or trades, and we're unable to do so. The Red Sox are intriguing to me, and I think when we get to our wild card selections, as there are now 3 wild cards in each league that we're going to have to pick. So we're actually picking six playoff teams from each league, leaving only 9 teams not being picked in each league, which is kind of crazy to think about how many teams make the playoffs now. So I'm going to go with I'm still going to go with the Toronto Blue Jays to win it all, based on the power of Vlad Guerrero Jr., the solid rotation bolstered by Kevin Gausman, who was a big part of your Giants' success last year. Solid bullpen. They really don't have any holes in any part of their team, so I think they're going to be fun to watch one way or the other. But I'm going to pick them to win the AL East.
Well, they were my pick last year to win the AL East.
Oh, okay.
So I picked them again this year because I thought I just picked them a year too early, because I feel exactly the same way, except I felt like the Giants probably got the best of what Kevin Gausman had to offer.
We saw him falter a little bit. He had one bad month, essentially, and was not quite the same in the second half as he was in the first half, but
I still think he's a quality pitcher. He's not Robbie. He's not going to produce what Robbie Ray did for them last year.
Yeah.
I'm not sure Robbie Ray's going to produce what he did for them last year either, but it's not enough to slow this machine down, whose offense and young bullpen and things like that are only going to be a step better this year. So I like the Blue Jays. Now, when I was doing my predictions, I did a variety of inputs, including Pacoda, who has the Yankees heavily favored to win 98 games this year.
I still don't get Pacoda. We need to, I think maybe as part of this, or maybe for next week, let's look at Pacoda predictions from 2021 and see how close they were. Because
it'll be off. It always is.
But did these get re-released? Because they were released about 2 weeks ago before any of this free agent.
4.5 is what I looked at, or 4.4.
Okay, so they're updating them constantly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, they're updating them, and there's I signed up for the free baseball prospectus, which gives you the Pacoda articles, which explains the enhancements. They make enhancements every year to try to get it even, closer to being correct. But one thing to note, and
you predict injuries. They can't
predict injuries, and they also you can't properly project a rookie.
No.
And that was why the White Sox were projected to win 83 games last year.
Yeah.
Because they had too many question marks on how those guys are actually going to perform.
Yeah.
So anyway, but I like the Blue Jays are right behind the Yankees. They have them at 90 games. I think they're closer to 100 games probably or mid 90s. And I don't think the Yankees
I don't think
I just don't see it. I just don't see it.
I mean, they've got Garrett Cole. I mean, Severino is already. I mean, they were banking a lot on Severino, and he was already shaky.
Yeah.
If he's not already sat down for a bit, I forget what the situation is with that. But they have a thin rotation, if you ask me. So
yeah,
I think we are. I will be coming back to the AL East for some of my wild card picks.
Yeah, I will too. So
I think it is the best division in baseball. I think it's going to be
by far
a gauntlet. As the only team that won't be competitive at all is the fucking Orioles, which I don't even know. I mean, they might be the $29 million payroll. Actually, they were.
Oh, you might be right. It might be Pirates, might be too. So
yeah, it's shit. Whatever it is.
Yeah, so. Whatever it is, it's just a pile of dung. So
I think we should move over to the National League in the East there, which is going to be another gauntlet, but not quite to the same quality. I think of the NL or the AL East. I think teams are pretty evenly matched in that, but I'm not sure any of them are world beaters. I am going to go, of course, though, with the world champion Atlanta Braves to prevail.
This is the most uninteresting prediction segment we've ever done. Probably.
I know this is so boring. I might just have to change my predictions just to make this a little more interesting to wake us up by the end of this. But yeah, again, of course, I don't buy the Mets. You know, they will find a way to fuck this up somehow. The Nationals have no offense besides Juan Soto, who might come back up in my MVP conversation. The Marlins are interesting. I think the most interesting team that never quite figures it out is the Phillies, and they made some drastic moves. Getting Kyle Schwarber and what was their other big free agent acquisition? Oh, you couldn't help me out. Damn it. Whatever. But Phillies. Who else did they get in free agency?
Castellanos.
Of course. Thank you. I'm glad you're listening at least. Thanks for bailing me out there.
For some reason, I thought you said the Nationals, and I was like, what? Why are we even talking about the Nationals in this competitive segment?
So I just don't trust the Phillies, despite what they do. They're going to score a ton of runs, but they are not going to pitch well, I don't think. So that's why I think the most balanced. Obviously, the champions are there, so I'm gonna go with the Atlanta Braves.
Yeah, I'm with the Braves too.
Shit.
That's why I said this segment is very boring thus far, but I think the Braves are, again, kind of what we just talked about with the Blue Jays, although the Blue Jays didn't win a world championship as of yet, but like the Braves they had young pieces performing. Mm-hmm. And so they're only going to get better. They got younger by.
Did Pacoda predict that they would have a completely different outfield in the second half and into the World Series than what they did to start with?
Yeah, right. Again, that's why
I think we should not bring up Pacoda anymore.
I think you bring up Pacoda to, it's plays into the money ball thing at the end of the day. That's what Pacoda is. But anyway,
not a fan.
They picked the Braves though to win the division. So they their pitching staff is younger and performed well last year. So again, you're just going to see a team progressing forward, and they got younger at first base, even though we were all like, how did they not sign Freddie Freeman? I think for me, I didn't even realize Freddie Freeman was that old already. I thought he was younger than that. So
they got the younger, better version of Freddie Freeman, essentially. So
yeah. And he got to go home. So it was, they're going to be there for a while. So, and Acuna, one of my draft pick of mine, will be back in May. So
is that the prognostication now? May?
Yes, May. May for
I like
Acuna
that.
Jr. So
they won the goddamn World Series without maybe the best player in baseball. So,
yeah, and they're going to bring him back as a DH just to ease him back into it because they can do that now.
Yeah, so a beautiful thing.
All right, so we are deadlocked on our first two picks.
Well, let's move to the Central. Our Central, as we both reside in the Midwest. I think we start with the AL once again. Unfortunately, and I'm sure you will as well, I will be picking the Chicago White Sox to win. They are clearly the class of one of the more. It's not the worst division in baseball, but it's certainly not the best. I'd put it in the middle, if anything. I think the Tigers are going to be interesting, and I'm debating on whether I'm going to put them in my wild card, one of the 3 wild card slots. I think it's going to be very tough, especially with how good the AL East is, and there's some rising powers in the West. I think the Tigers might be interesting and contending, but I'm not sure they're going to get there. I don't think they're going to be anywhere close to the White Sox, though, unfortunately. I think that might be a year from now where we get into those interesting conversations. I think the Twins are the biggest wild card of this division, as they have made some big moves, and number one amongst those is getting Carlos Correa. We'll see how that all pans out. They're also set up to be able to sell a lot of players if they need to. They can push eject on this season if they have to, especially with the 1-year deals that Carlos Correa has. So if they don't get off to a good start, that could be a mess in Minnesota quickly. But if they do, they could make things interesting for the White Sox. So, and in that wild card race, I'm giving little thought to the Guardians, which if we had a John Heyman's bad tweets, he called them the
Indians, yes,
like 3 or 4 times today, and then finally called them the Guardians in a tweet, which is funny. The pitching is certainly there for the Indians and young pitching, so they're going to be a problem. You
just said Indians.
Perfect. The Guardians. I'm an amateur and I don't get paid for this shit. So there you go. They did sign
you get paid in Revolution beer, my friend.
A little bit, yeah. Thank you. And thank you for letting me take some home after
I don't let you take some home. You would be getting equal amounts if you lived here.
Jose Ramirez signed a 5-year extension. I think it was today or yesterday.
Yeah, $125 million
with the Guardians. So congratulations to him. By far their best offensive player, but he is essentially their only offensive player.
Well, he's the only offensive player. You ready for this? That they have any money He's the only player that is on the books for next season. They have no money. They have zero money invested in the team, committed to next season.
Jesus.
Until that signing happened.
That would be called financial flexibility right there. So yeah. I think they'll be interesting next year. Like I said, but I don't know if it's going to be. They're not going to be a factor this year. Kansas City is another interesting one that I think won't really be a factor. Of course, you'll be hearing all about Bobby Witt Jr. Is he a junior?
Junior.
Yeah. Definite Rookie of the Year candidate. I was not fortunate enough to get him in our fantasy draft. I think they'll be interesting. I think the AL Central is going to be far more competitive than it was last year. I think all the teams, at least, from the Tigers and KC's perspective, that they're taking a step up. So it's going to make things a little more interesting for the White Sox. But I think from a White Sox perspective, that's good news. You're going to be tested all year long instead of being able to coast. I think that cost you in the playoffs, where it was almost too easy throughout the season. And you were just kind of looking at the playoffs, and I'm just saying that could be an advantage for you, where you're playing really competitive baseball throughout the season. But you are going to be the class of the division, but you'll be tested at least this year.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% on it's better for all teams in a division that are, being competitive and trending upward. It's better for them to be competitive. It makes all the teams better in the division, and it will make the White Sox sharper for the playoffs. I'm, of course, picking the White Sox to win AL Central. I wear my AL Central champions jersey.
Oh, a harbinger
T-shirt from last year.
That was a nice Easter egg.
The 21 is so small on it. I almost thought this is a universal shirt, but then I realized there is a 21 there. But maybe I'll just put a piece of black tape over it, and this shirt can be used for years to come.
Put a 2 on there, draw a 2 in there somehow.
Yeah, maybe I'll draw a silver 2 in there. But
there you go.
Yeah,
duct tape.
Sox win the division. We're actually in line with the rest of the freaking sports folks on that one.
I think it's a pretty easy one, actually.
Yeah, everyone's considering the Sox a layup for the division, which always makes me a little leery when things are like that. But I think I'm excited for the White Sox Detroit, as I've already talked about, renewing that rivalry, and I think the games overall are going to be more competitive. I think for a lot of the teams in the AL Central, and one of the things we talked about with Minnesota and the White Sox, starting pitching is a little banged up right now, but as long as they are healthy in the second half, starting pitching wise, no one's really got the starting pitching that the White Sox do. And everyone else's staff is younger, and that's where they're going to run into problems as the season progresses, not so much at the very beginning of the season. But so that's my thoughts on the AL Central and the White Sox. Going to the NL Central,
the worst division in baseball. I think it's hands down.
This is going to be a runaway as far as I'm concerned.
I think the Brewers are going to take this.
Oh my God, this is the most boring prediction show ever.
I hate their offense, but their pitching is so much better than anyone else's in the division.
Burnsy, he's going to dominate the Cubs tomorrow.
The Cubs failed to bolster their rotation enough. Their offense could be interesting. They made a lot of smaller moves, but I don't expect much. It's just I do like the Cubs bullpen actually, but I'm not sure how often it's going to come into play. I love Jesse Chavez for some reason. Dave Robertson is always interesting if he can stay healthy. I think Cubs have always found a way to have a solid bullpen, one way or the other, whether it's people you've heard of or not. But just that rotation is it's not deep, and it is not like I said. It was essentially a half of a full rotation. It's probably 2.5 starters instead of 5. So the Cardinals, I mean, they're basically getting the band back together. They got Albert Pujols back on a farewell tour with Yadi Molina and Adam Wainwright, which is one of the weirder moves I've seen in a long time, and I'm surprised St. Louis would be interested in that. But I think those guys have a huge potential to break down or to have horrific seasons.
There's going to be a lot of injuries on that team.
Their ace, Jack Flaherty, is already on the IL. We'll see how that plays out. The Cardinals are another surprising team that didn't do a whole lot in the offseason. So with a division that's really there for the taking, I think. But, of course, the Reds are tanking. They sold every asset they possibly could in the offseason, and the Pirates are the embarrassment of the major leagues, essentially. Not interested in competing, just pocketing that instant $70 million they get every year through revenue sharing and spending $30 million out of the $100 million they get. Unreal. I don't know how it's allowed, but the CBA didn't address it. So now you have the NL Central.
Yeah, I agree. Brewers all the way. Brewers easily. I think the Cardinals, I guess, made it interesting down the stretch. I don't think that's going to happen this year. I think the Brewers are going to have that White Sox situation almost where they kind of like can coast into the playoffs. And to me, in a way that is kind of bad for keeping you on your edge and keeping you competitive. So hopefully the Sox, have a few more obstacles in their way as they get there. But yeah, the Brewers they have more than enough offense though to beat up on within their division. How they play outside of the division will be interesting, and it'll be interesting enough to see if that affects them within the division enough. You know what I mean? Are some NL Central teams, while playing the other NL Central teams, are the Cardinals good enough to also like win most of their games within the division? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So are they going to always kind of be pesky to the Brewers because the Brewers will have more challenges outside of the division? I don't know.
Are they shitty all year and then win 20 games in a row?
Well, right at the end,
nowhere.
Right, exactly. So we'll see what happens. But the Brewers are the clear favorite.
Well, I think we can move to the West Coast then, if you're ready.
I'm ready.
I'm going to go to the Pacific Northwest. The cool kids team. All the trendy picks are with the Seattle Mariners, who always seem to find a way not to get to the playoffs. Not only are they going to get to the playoffs this year, they are going to win the AL West.
Whoa.
They made some tremendous moves in the offseason to build upon a 90-win team from last year that did not make the playoffs, which is amazing. I don't really like that division. I'm very frustrated with my Oakland A's, and I really don't like that team right now. So I'm frustrated with that. I can't stand the Houston Astros for obvious reasons. I think the Angels are perennially underachievers. They tried to address their chronic pitching issues with Noah Syndergaard, which I'm sure will work just fine until he breaks down 2 months into the season. Who am I missing? Texas. Texas is a team that I use the phrase all the time. They're confusing activity with accomplishment. They moved a lot of pieces around, but they're they signed some huge free agents too, and they've helped the offense tremendously. But I think they're going to come up short in the starting rotation, bullpen. So I'm going to go with, of course, the Seattle Mariners.
Well, now we get a little interesting because I am going to trust in Dusty to continue to win this division.
It's about time.
The Astros have the acumen, the nerves of steel that you want your team to have, and they're going to again win this division.
They have Justin Verlander coming back.
Yeah, he's on my fantasy roster. He was my first pitcher I picked.
He's looked great this spring.
Broke some hearts in the league, probably. The Tiger fan hearts.
You overdrafted him a bit, but I would have picked him later.
Anyway, well, I've looked at your roster. I'm going to win this thing. I've already told you.
Yes,
that's the projection show.
Yes,
but I think
these predictions.
I think the Astros are set and poised to win this division again, and not going to be a lot to get in their way. So,
well, you and I are close in that because as we get into our wild card predictions, 3 wild cards in each league, I will have the Houston Astros making a wild card. I would love to see a battle between the Tigers and Twins in the Central for a wild card slot, but unfortunately, the other 2 wild cards are going to come from the AL East in the Tampa Bay Rays and the Boston Red Sox.
Well, we both have 2 AL East teams and 1 West team, but mine are different.
Good.
I believe God. I agree with you on the Red Sox. The Red Sox are a very interesting ball club, and it's a lot of what was there last year, and they did very well last year. So I see no reason for the Red Sox not to be a wild card team. However, I also think even though they didn't make sweeping changes, the Yankees are still going to be good enough to get the other wild card spot.
They always make the playoffs somehow. I always pick them, but they always get there somehow.
I wanted to pick the Rays because I prefer the Rays, but I'm just not sure what they're actually doing there right now. So it's a question mark to me.
They usually beat up on the Yankees somehow. So
yeah,
that might be the one where you and I differ. So,
and my last pick is not going to be the Seattle Mariners, but I am going with Joe Madden and his boys, the Angels.
You're drinking the Kool-Aid.
Mike Trout's poised to have a huge year. Shohei Ohtani is going to be another year better. Their new GM is not about keeping dead weight around by cutting Justin Upton. They're willing to make moves and make changes. I feel
salary there.
I feel like it's the Angels are going to be back in this thing. They're going to be in the discussion all year long, and they're going to sneak out a wild card spot in the AL.
Seems like they should. I'm not going to buy it till I see it because that roster has felt like it could have made the playoffs for the last 10 years. Somehow they failed to. You all right over there? But I just feel like they're always less than the sum of their parts somehow, and it usually comes down to the rotation failing them or injuries. Unfortunately, we keep seeing the greatest player of this generation, Mike Trout, keeps getting hurt, and I hope that doesn't happen. But
come on, he's averaged 109 games over the last 4 seasons. I don't know why you'd think that about him.
Yeah. All right, so those are our playoff predictions. Do you want to go MVP? Oh no, we can go.
We should go NL
playoffs.
Wait, are we going to stay in the AL now after we finish? Because we were going back and forth before. We didn't do NL West, or should we just finish out the AL?
Oh, we didn't do NL West. Sorry.
No.
Duh. Jump right to that wild card. That's my fault.
We're
now at the 2-hour mark of this podcast.
Yeah, he's delirious.
Yeah, the wheels are coming off. Let's jump back through the fancy editing of podcasts. I will jump back in time to cover the NL West. Why don't you do yours first?
I'm going to go with a pick that always pains me when I have to say it, but I believe the Los Angeles Dodgers are going to win.
That's why I forgot it, because it's so fucking obvious.
NL West. I mean, we're talking about a team that lost the division and won 106 games last year. So, and they didn't get any worse in the offseason. So,
yeah,
they will be there to win the division. I'm assuming you did the same thing.
Yeah, I've got the Dodgers. It's obvious. They're the best team, probably the best team in baseball.
Yeah.
The best roster on paper, at least. They've been there for years. Like you said, they haven't gotten any worse. The division probably did get a little worse. I don't see the Giants doing what they did last year, winning 107 games, 108 games.
Yeah.
I think that everything lined up perfectly for them somehow. It's just hard to do that 2 years in a row. I think the Padres, I don't know if they're a cursed organization or what's going on with them, but they keep having weird things happen. They were devastated by injuries last year. They were my World Series projection in 2021. They're having more weird injuries with Tatis, of course, and is Clevenger hurt again, or is he?
Yeah, well, he's still day to day, but like I said, they were gonna. He hasn't pitched. It's not so much that he's necessarily like really injured. It's that he needs to stretch out more. So they're definitely gonna put him on the IL.
Yep.
So
there's just so many questions and so many weird things.
Way too many questions
with the Padres that I struggle to pick them to win the division. Who else is in that fucking division?
The Rockies, who are terrible.
Do we need to talk about the Rockies or the Diamondbacks? I don't think so. I mean, I do get to see the Rockies on April 23rd as Chris Bryant and his Rockies come into Detroit, so where I see my first Tigers game of the year. So I'll be sure to heckle him. But yeah, I don't see the Rockies or Diamondbacks being a factor at all. I think it's going to be a pretty easy waltz to the division victory for the LA Dodgers.
All right. So the NL wild card.
Oh yes. The NL wild card. I'm going to start with kind of a team that gets overlooked, but I like their young rotation. And that would be the Miami Marlins. They upset the Cubs in the shortened 2020 season in the first round of the playoffs. I don't know. I'm going to throw that out there. I wanted to be a little bit. That's kind of my wacky pick of these Nostra-Dumbass predictions. I also did have the San Diego Padres making it because I think the National League is kind of a weird league in general right now. So I think the Padres aren't going to win the division, but they're going to win a wild card slot, as there are now 3. And I am going to throw in the wacky Philadelphia Phillies. They are just going to bludgeon their way to a wild card slot. They are going to hit some home runs. With Kyle Schwarber there, with Bryce Harper, with Nick Castellanos. I don't think their pitching is going to be good enough, but that could be bolstered at some point, potentially at the trade deadline. They're going to score runs. They're going to give up a lot of runs. We'll see how that pans out, but I'm going to pick them to make the wild card.
I believe we heard one of the hardest hit home runs ever in that spring training game by Schwarber to lead off the game.
Yeah, that was impressive.
It
almost hit the highway across.
I think it did hit the highway. I mean,
outside the ballpark.
It was outside the ballpark. It was insane. It was so loud when it came off the bat. It was. I've never heard a ball hit that loudly, hard. Maybe that hard is the way to say it. But I'm going to have the Phillies as an NL wild card team.
All right.
I'm also staying in the East, but I'm not. I do think. I think it's either the Marlins or the Mets. But I'm going with the Mets. I think they're going to be able to stay out of their own way.
I mean, can they just spend their way out of all their issues?
They might be able to.
They're trying to right now.
Yes.
But
I mean, they have so many question marks that not so many. They have question marks though with certain players that if it goes the right way, they will obviously they would be competing for that division.
Oh yeah, if things go the right way, they could be the best team in the National League, but just things don't go well for them for whatever reason. So,
I'm going to close it out with I think the Padres are actually in way more disarray than the Giants are.
Oh, and here we go.
So I'm sticking with the San Francisco Giants to make the playoffs consecutive years. And one of the reasons I'm picking the Giants because they literally have the same amount of wins according to Bakota as they were supposed to have last year. So that's a good sign.
Okay. Yeah, it'll be the exact same year. You're fine.
It's fine. Hey, nothing to worry about here.
I like it.
So that's NL wild card. So now we will move to the AL. We were just going to move into who's going to.
I can't do all the playoff matchups.
Yeah, we're going to do the championship, right? Who's playing in the championship and who's winning it?
I'm going to say the Toronto Blue Jays will triumph over your Chicago White Sox in the ALCS. I know it's going to be tough, but you are going to make it through at least one round of the playoffs. Take that step into the NL or the ALCS, but you will fail to our friends from the North, Toronto Blue Jays.
Well, see. You're very close as to what's going to happen. However, the White Sox are going to beat the Jays in the AL Championship because the White Sox are going to add some crazy-ass starting pitcher at the trade deadline that no one sees coming, and it's going to push them over the edge.
I think that should happen.
Trade the Dodgers for Craig Kimbrell. But anyway, that's so we're very close. We just have opposite outcomes, so...
Well, we might have the same NLCS too, as I have the Dodgers beating the Braves, defending champion. It's pretty much chalk for me. I don't know why I did this. I could have made this more interesting. It's my own podcast, and I chose not to. What am I doing?
Well, I feel as great as the Braves are, the Phillies are going to have some Philadelphia magic. So I do have the Dodgers, but it's the Dodgers beating the Phillies in the NL championship game.
Okay. So we both have the Dodgers in the World Series. You have the White Sox, and I have the Blue Jays.
And what's your outcome?
I have the Toronto Blue Jays rekindling their glory from the early 90s, winning the World Series, bringing the championship to Canada. They will defeat the LA Dodgers in 6 games.
This is very strange. So I have the Sox over the Dodgers in 6 games.
This year's gonna suck.
I think this year one of us is bound to be right, maybe. But
I think we're both to be completely wrong.
Maybe
that's the best part of this.
No, it's not.
We are the Nostra-Dumbass.
That's right. It's true. Nostra-Dumbasses. But Sox over the Dodgers in 6. Dodgers will continue their drought of not being able to win a world championship in a real season. I'd love to keep the Dodgers down. One thing,
congratulations on your 60-game world championship.
Yeah, you losers. One thing we should note about the Blue Jays, which one of the reasons I picked them to win the East is, hey, if you're not vaccinated, you're not playing in Toronto this year. So
that's gonna
maybe some members of the Yankees who won't be able to go to Toronto unless they get their act together.
Quite a few on the Yankees. I think there are some on the Red Sox. That's gonna make things very a wild card that we could have never expected. That could be an issue for the AL East traveling to Canada, as they will have to throughout the season. So. Or the postseason. That's where it gets really interesting. If those mandates are still in effect,
Yep.
Do unvaccinated players choose to not attend a playoff game that they could otherwise be just simply because they will not get vaccinated? I think that's going to be the question that could be the question of the postseason if it does come to that, which is just incredible. That'll lead to much debate, much fodder for podcasts like ours. We'll see. Of course, that mandate could get overturned. Could be eliminated. Hopefully, things are going so well about COVID at that point that Canada doesn't need that anymore. But we'll see. We're 6 months away, so hard to say. I think that leads to our MVP, Cy Young, and Rookie of the Year conversation.
Yeah.
Who you got for AL MVP?
I got a full season of Lewis Robert to.
I've heard that pick in several places. I don't think
five
you're out of line there.
5 tools, possibility of.
We've only scratched the surface.
Yeah, we've only scratched the surface. I mean, you're talking about, does he hit 40 and steal 30 bases? I mean, like there's huge possibilities there.
On a division winner and a World Series champion.
Yeah.
According to you.
Being in, well, they will be a playoff team. So like being in the competition. Yeah. Anyway, they will be a playoff team. So I don't know. It'll be interesting, but I like him as an MVP candidate. And maybe it isn't this year, but I think he definitely is going to have the opportunity to do it in the next few years. But
yeah, he's got plenty of time. I have, of course, Vlad Guerrero Jr.
That's a good pick too.
He probably should have won the AL MVP this past year in 2021, if it were not for a historic performance by the biggest anomaly, the biggest unicorn in our sport right now, Shohei Ohtani.
Who picked last year, correct?
I did. Who you could not compete with if he had decent pitching and hitting stats. No one would be able to compete with those, and he had better than decent hitting and pitching stats. Unfortunately, I think for everyone, I don't think he's going to stay healthy this year. I think the workload is going to prove to be too much. I think it was amazing he was able to do to navigate the entire season last year. I think it's just asking too much to do it 2 years in a row, and unfortunately, I think we're going to see him have hopefully just a bit shortened season, but it'll be enough for Vlad Guerrero to assert his dominance as AL MVP. My NL MVP is going to go to a last place team, which rarely happens, but I'm going to give it to Juan Soto, who could easily be the best hitter in baseball. Unfortunately, he has nothing around him in Washington, which might hurt him. But you've seen it other times where players' talents transcend the lack of lineup protection, and the dude just mashes. He's going to walk a lot, which is going to lead to huge OPS numbers, because when he does hit, it's going to be for power. His OBP is going to be way up. I think we're going to see a historic year from a historically bad team for Juan Soto.
I'm going to go a different direction because I'm not a fan of MVPs coming from teams that aren't contending. I'm going to go with Mookie Betts. Think he's going to have a really huge year. Huge bounce back year. Gonna bring back the reason he's one of the top fantasy picks. He's going to be well-rounded. Get going on the base paths again this year. So I like Mookie Betts for the NL MVP.
I like that. Who is your AL Cy Young?
Well, I'm going to go with your AL MVP last year for Cy Young this year. I'm going to go with Shohei Ohtani as a dark horse AL Cy Young pick.
So by that logic, he's not going to have quite as good as an offensive year as he had last year.
Correct.
I see. Okay. Well, I'm going to go with a shocker. It's going to blow your mind that I am picking Lucas Giolito to be AL Cy Young. I think he's going to stay healthy. I think he's going to be the ace of the division-winning Chicago White Sox. I think he will easily run away with the AL Cy Young. As for the NL, I'm going to take my ace pitcher on my El Mago Imago Tigres fantasy baseball team. Walker Buehler from the Los Angeles Dodgers, who will make it to the World Series. He's just he's the best on the best team. I think it's going to be pretty simple. Who do you have for your NL?
Well, I have Corbin Burns because he's going to dominate almost every pitching category. So especially strikeouts.
Because he's going to do that in the worst division in baseball. That's a shrewd maneuver. Yeah,
but he's still going to win a division and be in the playoffs. So
yeah, I think that's a wise strategy to go that direction. So, rookies of the year. Why don't you give me your rookies of the year?
I'm going to the Motor City and giving it to Spencer Torkelson.
Oh, I am as well. It's amazing.
Oh, look at that. Yeah, I like his makeup, man. I've complimented you guys on that pick and what he's probably going to bring to that team. And I think of the first baseman that have all been touted on our baseball teams, Anthony Rizzo for the Cubs, who won a World Series, and currently the Sox with Jose Abreu, and then Brandon Belt at the Giants. I think Torkelson's he's gonna rake. When he hits I think he's gonna have a good season this year, good enough to win Rookie of the Year. But wait till 2 or 3 years down the line. So
number one draft pick overall. If he lives up to the potential, he should be an MVP candidate in his future. Yeah. The irony is he would have been my second pick off of the Tigers if Riley Green had not been hurt. Riley Green would have been my Rookie of the Year, but because Riley Green is the 5-tool player that is going to get a bunch of steals. He's going to roam center field, the cavernous center field very easily of Comerica Park. But Spencer Torkelson was going to be my 1A or 1B or however that works for Rookie of the Year. And so I'm going to pick Torkelson as well, just because of the power potential. I'm immense.
Dude, like there's other players and other teams you get excited about watching and seeing what they're going to do. And I'm excited to watch him play. I don't want to, I don't necessarily, I'm excited. I get to see him up close. I have the MLB package too, so I can watch him when he's not playing the Sox. But, it'll be interesting to see the cat and mouse game that gets played with Lucas Giolito and him. But he seems like a smart guy who probably, he's going to listen to what they tell him in the dugout and make adjustments. So it's might be easy the first at bat, but each at bat for Lucas after that he's going to learn and it's going to get harder. So it'll be interesting. It'll be even more interesting to me to see how Torkelson is hitting him after he's seen him maybe 2 or 3 times, again, Giolito's a smarter pitcher where he will probably mix it up more, but still good hitters, they figure it out. They can catch a pattern. They can, what's gonna be, because we have the imbalanced schedule still this year. They're gonna see each other a lot, unlike next year where it'll be into the balanced schedule. So that'll change some of that competitive advantage you have sometimes against your own division because of how much you've seen them and how it sort of evens out towards the end of the season sometimes. But it should be fun. It should be fun to watch this guy play.
The baseball gods did us and this podcast a huge favor by having this opening series of the season being between your White Sox and my Tigers. So that is going to be one of the fascinating matchups that
I just wish it was tomorrow. We didn't have to wait another day.
I know, it sucks. We'll get to watch the Cubs tomorrow, but yeah, it's going to be. It's a long wait, 48 hours. No, we're playing at noon here on Friday, so 36 hours or so before first pitch. Before we get to that, though, we have to discuss our NL Rookie of the Year. I'm going to go with kind of the homer, also just an advantage that other rookies wouldn't have in age, because the Cubs' Seiya Suzuki will win the NL Rookie of the Year because he's going to be about 4 or 5 years older than most other rookies as he's coming from the Japan League. I think he's a seasoned veteran. It's going to take him a bit to adjust to National League pitching and Major League pitching in general, but I think that you'll see the adjustments made within the first month or so. And really, he's going to benefit from being in such a shitty division. He's definitely going to struggle against the Brewers, like we discussed, but he's going to feast on the rotations and bullpens of most of the rest of the division. So that's my pick.
Well, I don't know how this show has gotten so less argumentative at times, but I also, because of exactly what you said, an age standpoint and experience, even though it is in the Japanese league, his projections, his projections are kind of off the charts, even for a Japanese player coming over. And they were talking about on Baseball Prospectus, I was reading about him, and they were saying, depending on how he does end up, like numbers wise, that it's going to change how they do project players because of how dominant he was in Japan. That like how he hits and his approach and all that has made them have him projected pretty high performance this year. So, I think it is. I think it's when you come over, when you're older, like Jose Abreu too.
Yes.
Sure, you win a Rookie of the Year, but you're not really a rookie.
Yeah, it's similar to Ichiro. He did the same thing. He came over as much older than his competition, but he also had 200 hits in his first year, and he was an MVP candidate actually.
He's definitely an MVP candidate. So
I was going to be quite up to. Are they related to Ichiro?
I don't think so. No, I think it's like Smith here.
That would have been great. Yeah. Damn it.
Well,
unless you have anything else.
No, I think I'm done. Even if I did, I wouldn't tell you.
We are at the 2 hour and 20-minute mark, I believe, of this podcast. A new record. Congratulations to us. I think I will break this up into 2 separate podcasts.
Yeah.
Potentially putting these Nostra-Dumbass Projections as its own podcast.
I think it deserves its own podcast.
Yeah.
Although
I should keep it together because I might explain how loopy we are at this point. As I forgot the entire NL West at one point. So.
Well, luckily, no one will even know.
Yeah. Bury it at the 2 hour plus mark of a podcast. Yes. So. Well, thank you for hanging in there regardless, everyone. And you, Pete. It is now very dark. It was light when we started this.
Yes.
So let's wrap this one up as we have opening day tomorrow. Cannot wait. Can't believe we have baseball, as I didn't think that was a possibility as early as a month ago.
As did Wade Miley.
Yeah, apparently. So we will be back next week, of course. We will be breaking down the first weekend of the season. Fortunately, that includes our fantastic matchup. Hopefully, a Tigers home series victory.
Calm down.
Set the tone for this season. Put you guys in your place. We'll see. I can't wait. So, with that,
easy.
You can find all those comments we will be making and these on our website at majorleagueaholes.com. You can find us on social media at Major League A-Holes. You can find our merchandise at aesthetics.store. Used to be .shop. Now it's aesthetics.store.
Store?
Store. ASSTHETICS.STORE.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. We're also on YouTube, and you can find this podcast anywhere you'd like to find a podcast. So with that, I'm going to say this podcast is over. Peace.
Peace. Word Hole Media.